For anybody who doesn't know, I know we talk about the DCCC, but we need to talk about the WCCC. That's what I call white collar campaign carnies.
Jay, you didn't come too late. You came for a very good ending.
This is good. So white collar campaign carnies, the WCCC, that consultant class of people, these are the people, the sycophants that basically they're like, they just suck off of campaigns like leeches. They suck off of campaigns, and they don't care if the campaign wins or loses. And especially in the Democratic Party, in the Democratic Party, consultants can lose continuously over and over and over again and keep getting hired. So Kamala Harris campaign, for people who do not know, raised $1 billion.
$1.018 billion is what they raised.
Now, she is ending up about 20 million in the hole. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so she, after raising, and keep in mind, people, this campaign was 107 days. Was that the?
That is correct.
So in 107 days, her campaign raised over $1 billion and spent more than it raised, and that should offend everybody. Now, by comparison, Trump's campaign. I only like applied math. So statistics. I would say statistics. I'm an applied math person.
I aced statistics and algebra, and I did okay.
I actually think I have dyscalculia, and was just never diagnosed.
That means you don't know how to use a calculator.
That's what it means. No, because my son has that, and he has been diagnosed, and I am almost like I get triggered from PTSD from all the issues I had in math growing up. Like, it was horrible. I mean, I can't. So I watch him, and it's hard, but. So no, this is applied math. So by comparison, $1 billion, Trump raised about $400 million, right? Around $400 million. And he spent a lot less. So like 340 something, right? So he's not in the red. He has a little surplus in his little campaign, treasure trove. And isn't that nice? Okay. So I want to point out something very important in addition to just the general disgustingness of the amount of this money. It's how much they proportionately, each campaign, spent on staffing. And this is something that is very important. And I find it is absolutely much more infinitely disgusting amongst the Democratic parties, the amount of political consultants, and not just how many, but how much they charge and what they make. So for a 3-month campaign, Kamala Harris's full-time staff was, what was it? 50 million.
56 million. Trump's campaign spent 9.
Okay. So you think about that proportionately. She spent 56 million on full-time staff.
Now here is an interesting statistic that we wanted to point out. Patrick Bet-David, as you guys know, is a conservative commentator. He's not, he's business conservative, but he's here in
I don't mind
him.
I don't mind him. He has some decent takes.
He does. I wouldn't say that Adam has any decent takes, but that's a whole other story. Adam's his Zionist partner.
Oh, I don't know that.
So campaign spending, Trump raised $381.54 million. Trump spent $345.42 million. Remember, part of the reason you don't spend all of the money is because you have to make sure that if there are any vendors or staff or anybody who needs
you have to not only that, but sometimes you end up having to return certain you have to have money on hand.
Mm-hmm. Kamala raised, again, these numbers fluctuate, but $1.003 billion
in 3 months.
Kamala spent $1.37 billion, and Kamala spent $582.53 million on staff.
She spent more than half. Well, now we weren't talking full-time staff.
Now, keep in mind, we're talking, this is a combination of vendors.
But then is his 10.4 million a combination too?
I have, well, according to what I read, it was 9 million for full-time staff.
Okay, so then for her, with full-time staff and consultants that are not full-time. So let's be very real. Okay, she spent more than $500 million on political campaign staffing for a 107-day campaign.
And let's be honest.
And let me be very clear. I guarantee you that there were succubists on that campaign that are like probably 10-time losers that were on that campaign that were probably making 20 grand plus a month. And she probably had a whole bunch of them. And these people, by the way, and a lot of these, the people I believe people like the Clintons and people like Debbie and all that, one of the biggest things is about feeding all their friends and cronies in this whole consultant class. It's a giant grift.
No, absolutely. And
It's
that's
a
why they
complete
all
grift.
have to. That's why Debbie has to go on CNN. That's why Jamie Harrison has to say that Biden was a very successful president. That's why Nancy Pelosi has to throw Bernie under the bus, because you're not going to see the change in the Democratic Party. I don't know if it's possible, because they've shown time and again that what's more important to them is getting paid. That's the number one priority.
Well, and it's just pathetic, because the Democrats really are defeatist in so many ways, and they really have resigned themselves to just playing defense and being losers. And their consultant class is that. They have so many people that just get recycled. They recycle so many losers amongst their campaign.
We've seen this down here.
Unbelievable.
We've seen this down here
at a local level,
and at the local level.
Oh my God!
And it's like the story I told you guys on Monday night. You know, we have a few, not a lot, but we have a few very good mayors in the area. Now, unfortunately, because of the way Debbie governs, if you want to call it that, rules with an iron fist, and nobody, even if they have told us in private, and several of them did, that they voted for Jen, but they cannot come out publicly because of the wrath that Debbie will throw at them.
Because she's not gracious. She would never get over it, and they have to work with her. And
Debbie hangs around in little chat groups on Facebook to get the confirmation bias from these little groups that they still love me.
It's so pathetic.
They still think I'm great.
Yeah. It's pitiful. But so I wanted to point that out, because I don't think people really understand the complete grift of the consultant class on the Democratic side. I'm not saying it doesn't exist on the Republican side. Of course it does. But
you actually have to win. You actually have to win.
You have to win. And as you can see that difference. By the way, Trump's campaign was how much longer than Kamala's campaign? And he spent between 10 and 11 million, and she spent more than $500 million on staffing. And I guarantee you that 99% of the people weren't worth what she paid them, and probably didn't do anything but sit there and just feed at the trough of her campaign donors. And now they're in the red. Now they're in the red. And you know what? I am curious to see so is it Hillary to the rescue again? Does she clean up this mess? Like, how are they going to clean this up?